So good morning, everyone, and welcome to the 2021 Fall Virtual Career Day with Eastern Iowa Community Colleges. I am Heather Evans, and I serve in admissions and community outreach based out of our Clinton campus of Eastern Iowa Community Colleges. And with me from EICC, I have Dustin. Dustin, you want to introduce yourself quick?
Yeah, my name is Dustin DeWert, and I also work for Eastern Iowa Community Colleges. My role is a little bit more unique. I go into local high schools and talk to students that have disabilities, whether or not they want to either attend EICC or any college for that matter, or just work on them with job skills and trying to enter the workforce. So I do kind of both situations where, we link kids up with jobs and job shadows and other types of things, classroom presentations. So I'm more out in the trenches working with kids and trying to figure out what their next step is and kind of going from there.
Dustin's going to be running the chat today, so he'll talk to you a little bit about how that goes once we get done with our video. But we want to welcome our great friends from Clinton National Bank this morning. We're so happy to have them here with us, and we have with us Ann West, Tara Bellich, Rich Klahn, Mindy Burgraff, and Toni Milnes. And they'll go into a little bit more of what they do with Clinton National Bank after we watch this wonderful video that they put together for us. So I will share the screen and show the video.
Two departments, which are likely the most familiar to anyone, are the teller department and customer service department. In the teller department, they process account transactions, like a deposit or a withdrawal. They also issue money orders and cashier's checks. Tellers also handle customer inquiries, answering questions about one's account. The tellers are the department which sees our customers the most. Then there's the customer service department. They open accounts like a checking or a savings account. They set up IRAs and health savings accounts, as well as certificates of deposit, also called a CD. They do account maintenance and they answer questions about one's account too. In the customer service department, they also assist with debit card questions or problems. They also troubleshoot and help customers get set up with digital products. The digital products would be online banking, mobile banking, digital payments, bill pay, person-to-person transfers.
The lending department is the biggest revenue producer for the bank. Most financial institutions have their loan departments divided up into installment, real estate, commercial, and agricultural loans. Installment loans are used to finance cars, recreational vehicles, boats, personal loans, also called unsecured loans. This department also handles credit card loans and home equity lines of credit. Real estate loans are home loans for your primary or secondary residence, as well as rental properties. Commercial loans are business loans. For example, if you're acquiring a business, setting up or constructing new property for a business, or really anything that has to do with the business, you would do through our commercial loan department. Agricultural loans are loans for farming operations, land, and equipment. It is always important to keep in mind that having excellent credit helps you get a better loan.
The trust department handles investments for our customers, employee retirement plans like 401ks and IRAs, trust accounts, estates, and conservatorships. Every day is different as far as customer contact and account administration. One of the most important behind-the-scenes departments in banking is the item processing department, also known as a bookkeeping department. They do work with customers and they answer questions and give them account balances, but they also handle wire transfers and ACH and daily posting of teller work, overdraft processing, and they send out electronic and paper statements. The top department in banking would be the executive management team. This team consists of executives who oversee the customer-facing employees. They also oversee the operations, and they oversee the lending portion of the banking experience. Every business in every industry has a human resources department, also known as HR. This is a department of a bank or financial institution which focuses on activities which relate to employees. This can include both recruiting and hiring new employees, the orientation and training of those already employed by the company, administering employee benefit programs, payroll, insurance, and retention of key personnel within the company. The accounting department does not have customer contact. However, they do have contact with all the other departments of the financial institution in order to balance internal accounts as well as the bank's overall budget. This department handles accounts payable, accounts receivable, and the bank's investments. They also ensure the bank is within FDIC guidelines. Another department that is found across all industries is a marketing department. These professionals focus on generating ideas and content for sales and advertising, external websites, and printed signage for events. They also manage social media pages and look for ways to continue to engage our target audience and bring people into our doors.
Thinking machines and supercomputers, IT manages and protects it all. Computers, phone systems, and software to cybersecurity. IT maintains, protects, and watches over all of the bank's computer systems. Compliance plays a big role at every bank. They make sure that the bank is following state and federal regulations, what we can and can't do, and they also monitor account activity for money laundering and terrorist activity. The audit team at a bank will make sure that each bank is following procedures accurately. They also coordinate and assist with internal audits and bank exams.
Fantastic. That was an awesome video. Thanks so much for that. Anne, would you like to get started?
Unmuting myself, make sure we do this. Okay, so my name is Ann West. My title is the Consumer Product Coordinator. I work out of the Customer Service Department here at Clinton National. So Consumer Product Coordinator, it's a fancy word, but I manage a suite of like our consumer products. Those are the online banking, mobile banking, bill pay, person-to-person payments, remote deposit, digital payments like Apple, Samsung, and Google. We make sure our debit cards are compatible with those products. I work with our core provider to make sure the systems are running smoothly, and if there's issues, we try to get those resolved as quickly as possible. I also provide training to our staff so they have the knowledge they need to do their job and answer their customers' questions as well. Regarding those products. So a little bit of background. I've been in banking for 15 years. I started out as a part-time teller at a financial institution in college. And I graduated from the University of Illinois with my degree in communications and public relations. And upon graduation, I needed a full-time job in insurance. So the institution I was working for at the time offered me a full-time job as a teller. I was able to, within 6 months, I moved into a marketing role and promoted a credit card program. I did that for a couple years, and then I wanted some management experience. So I moved into supervising and managing like branches and whatnot within some different institutions in Champaign. Met my husband, and then I moved to Morrison. And I will say, due to networking and connections, we knew Toni. And so I was able to land an interview here at Clinton National, where I got a job as an assistant branch manager. And then I came down here to the main bank, where I've been now for a few years. I've been with Clinton National Bank now for 6.5 years. And on top of the day-to-day stuff that I do, I'm also on the marketing committee. I'm on the retention committee. So retention is where we're looking for strategies to retain our customers. So making sure that they stay banking with Clinton National Bank and they're not going somewhere else. And if they are, why is that? And how can we address those needs for the customers? So, and then I also do the training. So I train our customer service reps, the ones that open the accounts and answer customer questions. I'm the trainer for that too.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Anne. Students, if you have any questions at all for any of the speakers, feel free to put them in the chat. It can be about the speaker in particular, it can be about their role, it can just be anything in general about banking or finance. Feel free to put any of those questions in the chat. Dustin's helping monitor those, and we can ask those kind of as we go along. We're pretty informal, so please don't hesitate. If you have any questions, make sure that you go ahead and put those in there. Any questions at all for where we're at now? Any questions for Anne or about any of the banking or finance or anything that you may have seen in the video? Okay, Miss Tara, would you like to go next?
Sure. Good morning, everyone. My name is Tara Bellich, and I work in the trust department here at Clinton National Bank. My title is Vice President and Trust Officer. The trust department, it has a funny name. Just because it's trust department doesn't mean you have to have a trust to have an account in the trust department. We deal with 401ks and pension plans at different employers, so their retirement benefit plans. We have IRAs in this department. It's different than the commercial side of the bank with customer service. Our IRAs, you can invest in the stock market with mutual funds, fixed income, equities. We also work with the state administration, so we are appointed as executor when somebody passes away. So we handle gathering the assets of the estate and dispersing that to the beneficiaries. We also can be appointed as conservators for different boards, voluntary or involuntary. So I have a lot of different things that go on in my day in the trust department. Every day is different. And so a little bit of background about myself. So I actually started at the bank at the Lions office as a teller, and I started as summer help back in 2001. So I've been here for 20 years. Then I moved to the trust department, and I started as the assistant in the trust department, earned my associate's degree at Clinton Community College. I also earned my certification as a certified trust and fiduciary advisor. The bank actually helped me pay for that. It was a 3-year long course. And so I have that designation also. So then basically I just learned everything I could about just all our different accounts that we handle. I also learned the operations side of the trust department. So I'm a backup for that. That's like when we post our transactions and make sure, statements and things like that. So I just kind of gathered all the knowledge, and so just kind of worked my way up to vice president.
And you mentioned the bank helped you pay to do the schooling for that, working your way through that. That's wonderful.
Yes, so I went through Camden Financial Institute. And there's different locations that you can go to. They're out of Georgia, but I actually went to University of Notre Dame. So each summer for 1 week, I spent a week there on the campus, and it was very rigorous. It was classes all day long, studying all night long. And after each week, there was a test. And so then you advance to the next course. And so they just held it once a year. And then I had to sit for my test, and I have, it's a 3-year long, I have to have 45 credits within those 3 years to keep my designation. So that was very specific to trust accounts as far as reviewing trust documents and making sure that we're administering them as per the intent of the grantor. And that's the person who, the attorney drafts the trust document, but it's for the person who puts their assets in the trust. And then I guess I also should mention what else I do at the bank. So I do serve on the marketing committee also, alongside Anne. I've served in other task force. I serve on the IT logistics team. I helped with the phone conversion when we bought our northern branches, like in Andover and Sevilla and Miles and Preston. So it was completely separate from trust, but it was something different that I was able to do. I volunteer for the Chamber of Commerce on the events committee. And I also serve as a board member for River Bluff Community Foundation.
So students, you'll definitely see that within these different positions and at the organizations, if community involvement is something that's important to you and something that you want to have considered in whatever it is that you do choose that you want to end up doing, find that out about the places that you're looking to be employed with, because I know each of these wonderful individuals because of community involvement in committees and boards and things that we've been able to serve on together. And I think that just puts such a valuable additional aspect to the type of work that you're doing, because it's not just the same thing every day. You're getting an opportunity to get out in the community and share information about what you're learning and who you're learning it with as well. So I think that's a really great asset for the business as well as for the community to have employees who are really invested in those ways and things. So Rich, I think you're up next.
Okay, good morning. Thanks again for having us. My name is Rich Klahn. I'm a commercial loan officer and vice president with Clinton National Bank. And a little bit about my background. I graduated high school from Comanche in 2001, then went on to the University of Iowa, graduated in 2005 with a degree in business management and marketing. Didn't necessarily see myself going down the banking path, but that's kind of how it ended up. During college, during summer, winter breaks, I worked at Clinton National Bank as a teller. I did other things like the courier sometimes, so transporting things from branch to branch, location to location. I did filing work, so I had kind of a banking background. So when I got out of college, I ended up getting a job at RSM McGladrey at that time as a bank auditor, and I was living up in Madison, Wisconsin, and did bank auditing for Southern Wisconsin, Northern Illinois. And then in 2007, Clinton National Bank purchased some more branches, and that opened up some opportunities here. My wife and I are both from Comanche, so we moved back to this area. And I took a job in the installment loan department at that time, doing car loans, credit cards, home improvement loans, things like that. And then in 2010, went on to be a branch manager at one of our branches. And then 2013, came back to the main bank as a loan officer, doing all kinds of lending, still some of that consumer lending like car loans, credit cards, home equity loans, but also doing some real estate loans, purchases, refinances, and also getting involved a little bit in commercial or business loans, which is what I do mainly now. Then went on to manage the installment loan department, and just over a year ago, full-time commercial lender now. So I've done a lot of different things in the bank. Good experiences. I've opened accounts. I've done all kinds of lending, teller work. So kind of a wide range of things there. Some things I really enjoy about my job. I get to help people build their dreams. If they've always dreamed of building, their own business, buying their own business, we can help them with that. I'm sure Mindy will speak to, the dream of home ownership. So some things I'd recommend if you're interested in that line of work, I guess, is taking some accounting courses. Somebody once told me accounting is the language of business. That's very true. I'm sure Toni will talk a little bit more about that. But we have a lot of accounting terms we go through here and discuss things like that. So there's opportunities for advancement in banking, community involvement, as Heather kind of referred to. The bank is very generous with allowing us to be involved in the community. That's good for the bank to get their name out there, but it's also very rewarding for us personally to make a difference in our community. Family life balance is another nice thing about banking. You're not working, crazy odd hours where you're working second, third shift. You do have to work, some Saturdays typically, but your hours are fairly normal. So it kind of helps with that work-life balance. So I guess I'll stop there. If people have questions, I'm happy to answer.
Great. All right, Mindy.
Good morning. I'm Mindy Burgraff. I'm Vice President and head of our real estate department. A little bit about my background. I started in banking in 2000. So I always say it's easy to remember the number of years I've been in banking. So 21 this year. I started out as a teller as well, entry-level position, kind of worked my way through teller supervisor. Then I was a retail banker, which basically opens new deposit accounts and does consumer loans like car loans and unsecured loans, personal loans, things like that. And from there, I started working in home equity, and that was working with people's homes. And I realized that I had an interest in that. It really was something that piqued my interest. And so my goal was to get into real estate full time. So I ended up coming to Clinton National about 3.5 years ago. And that was one of the main focuses of my position when I came to Clinton National, was to get into real estate. And I really enjoy that aspect of banking because it's, like Rich said, you get to give people that American dream of home ownership. So, you know, it's a lot of multitasking in my position as far as meeting deadlines and timelines. We work with realtors, attorneys, the customer. We do, you know, home purchases, but we also do refinances. As many of you may have heard, you know, being talked about and things like that. Interest rates are super low and have been for the last year or so. And so we've been in a crazy refinance phase where basically what that means is customers come in and talk to us about getting a lower interest rate on the loan that they have for their home purchase. It's also a good time for sellers to sell their home right now. We've seen it be a kind of a crazy busy seller's market. And so that's what that means is there's a lack of homes available right now. And so there's a lot of people out there vying to buy the ones that are available. And so for us, means we have applications coming in left and right for people to hurry up and get pre-approved so they can get out there and do their, put an offer in on a home and so forth. So multitasking is a huge part of our job. As a real estate department manager, I'm also helping the other lenders with any problems that they might run across. You know, we work with contract offers for home purchases. We have title work issues sometimes, title to the homes, you know, as far as how things are deeded and things of that nature. So just a lot of different opportunities throughout the day to help resolve issues with the other lenders and our closers and things of that nature. So every day is a little bit different in my role. So as far as, like Rich mentioned, hours, you know, we're Monday through Friday and some Saturday mornings. And that is an awesome schedule to have, you know, when you are raising a family and for the opportunity to get out in the community, to be part of different groups and things like that. We're really fortunate to be able to serve on different communities, different community groups throughout the bank and things like that. So yeah, I think that about covers it. If anybody has any questions, I'm here to answer them.
Thank you, Mindy. All right, Toni, how about you?
Are we good?
There we go.
All right, sorry about that. Thank you. Good morning, I'm Toni Milnes. I'm the Vice President, Chief Financial Officer and Cashier with the bank. Just a little background about me is I graduated way back from high school in '95, and quite honestly, my senior year, I struggled as to what I wanted to be. I knew I was good with numbers, and therefore I pursued my career with accounting. As Rich indicated, you know, accounting is the backbone to every business. So I thought that would be an opportunity for me to figure out what I really wanted to do in the long run. So with that, I went to DeVry Technology. I got my bachelor's degree in accounting. Usually accountants' minimum requirements is a bachelor's degree. You obviously can pursue a master's degree, and a lot of people actually get a CPA. It's a certification that you have to take almost like a law degree, like the board. And it's a very lengthy exam. I did try to take it, but at the time after I finished my schooling, I still was unsure if I wanted to be an accountant. So I did work as an accountant, as a staff accountant for a couple years. I found the job actually fairly repetitive and was bored. So I took on another adventure. I went to internal audit. I still could use my accounting background with that internal audit position. I worked for Allstate for 4 years, and I loved internal audit. I had the opportunity to travel to Canada, to many parts of the United States. You know, I was single, young, and those opportunities were fantastic. I then decided I did want to move a little bit closer back home. I'm originally from Morrison, and at the time I'd been living near Chicago. So I actually also worked for RSM McGladdery out of the Davenport office. I worked there for about 7 years, again in an internal audit perspective, which really made me a roundabout individual in looking at processes from banking to other manufacturing industries. Again, I was young. I had that opportunity to travel. I got to go to Paris with McGladdery, and I also have 3 certifications in internal audit. However, all of that is fantastic, but I was starting my family life. After 3 children, I decided it was time to get that work-life balance in perspective. And that's where a community bank is where I ended up. And that is because it does afford me to have that work-life balance. I'm 20 minutes from home, and that was important to me. Because working for McGladdery, a lot of times I was going to Dubuque and I was a good 1.5 to 2 hours away from my family. So if anything happened, I was not there for them. But anyhow, so now I'm at the bank. I've been at the bank for 7 years. I started off as a vice president and cashier. Cashier is an old banking term for controller. And then I worked my way up and was promoted probably a year ago, actually, March 13th, right before all this pandemic hit, I was promoted to CFO. My responsibilities here at the bank is administering and coordinating the bank's financial and accounting functions and ensuring we're meeting regulatory requirements, reporting requirements. My customer facing is not necessarily customers of the bank, but my customers are executive management, senior management, and the board of directors. Most of my duties entail reviewing the general ledger. I look at the balance sheet and income statement on a daily basis, looking for oddball things that just don't feel right, so I can then do deeper dives. Otherwise, I open and close GL accounts as needed. I structure the balance sheet and income statement so that we have the assets and the liabilities in the correct places, and the balances correspond with if they're receivables of the bank or it's something that we need to pay someone else. Otherwise, I do a lot of regulatory and internal financial reporting. I monthly prepare a financial report, which is provided to executive management and the board. It gives them a breakdown of month over month activity of what happened in all the accounts, as well as at the beginning of the year, I do a budget for the entire year. I determine what our loan's gonna make. And we do that with various committees. And then I just determine, like, what are our salaries? What are our benefits? What do I expect these dollar amounts to be? And then monthly we compare that and do that analysis to see if we're within budget, we're outside budget. Why are we outside budget? What can we do to curtail that? Other things that I do is Fed and state tax reporting. Obviously, we got to report our taxes and we have to remit our taxes. As a financial institutions, we're heavily regulated. There are a lot of regulatory reports that we have to do monthly and quarterly. The biggest one is the call report. A call report is a financial analysis that's available to the public. It's out on the UPBR so that anybody who's looking at a financial institution can look to see, where that financial institution is at, where our return of assets are, what our net interest margin is, terminologies that we're accustomed to in banking financial industry, we're all accustomed to. Otherwise, in my role, I'm also have the opportunity to do some investment portfolio administration. This is something new to me. When I started here, at the time, the CEO was kind of making the decisions on what to purchase or to sell, and then I would settle the transaction. However, as I've gradually increased my responsibilities here, now I get to go out and make a $2.5 million transaction, which is just incredible that I'm able to do that, and I have the support here and means to do it. Most of our investment transactions are very non-complex. They're treasury securities, whereas we don't get into a lot of the mutual funds like on the trust side. They're more educated in that aspect than I am in buying our treasuries or our mortgage backs. We also buy a lot of municipals. So if Clinton municipality needs some bond money, they might go out to the market to borrow some money. Those are transactions we may either assist with, or we may actually purchase and put on our investments portfolio. One of the things that I also do is asset liability management, and we're monitoring interest rate risk. So, with this environment that we're in right now, our interest rates are as low as they probably have ever been. But that's part of my duties, is to review that and see what is the spread between what our loans have for an interest rate and what we're paying on our deposits. We obviously are a bank and we need to make money between those two. So, we still want to offer our customers the best rate possible in every situation, but at the same time, we need to monitor that spread so that we're covering our costs. So that's one of the things that I do. We employ risk mitigation strategies to, say our assets, we look at durations of our assets versus our liabilities, and we have to keep those relatively the same if we can. So that area is the whole ball of wax, and an area that is difficult to manage and can drive our business. Another area that I oversee is the purchasing accounts payable function. Obviously, we have to pay our bills, so we do have a staff to oversee that area. See, what else haven't I covered? Again, accountants typically require a bachelor's degree. I can say back when I started back in 1998, I started at about 35,000. But obviously, as the career moves on, you move up. And I think your salary in general is based on your experience. It can be based on your location. Obviously, when I went from Chicago to here, I had to determine, what's the cost of living there versus the cost of living here. And I'm sure I took a pay cut. I can't recall, to be honest, it was too many years ago. But I'm sure I took a pay cut, but at the same time, my cost of living was so much cheaper here than it was back in the suburbs of Chicago. I was paying $1,400 rent there, whereas here you might be paying $800. So I guess that's, the salary can range. It can go from as low as the 35,000 when I started back in 1998. So I would hope that inflation has gone up. But, I've seen CFOs salaries up to a large amount, 200,000. I'm certainly not there yet. Maybe someday, but I think I'll have to work a good another 15, 20 years here. But overall, it's a good career. Again, I love the responsibility. I love being able to work with executive management and help driving the business and making decisions and putting together analysis for them to make those decisions. I think, I'm not a customer facing person. I'm not Anne, and she's very happy. I'm a back office person, and I'm completely fine with that. Again, I'm comfortable being in the back office and just running my numbers. I am a numbers person by design, so it is what it is. So any questions for me?
Thank you so much.
We have a question, I think. Allison says, I noticed the wide range of majors taken by you guys. What advice would you give to students like us trying to decide on a major? Good question.
Really good question. That's a really good question.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, for me, again, it was just based on, I wasn't sure what I was going to do. Accounting was, again, an industry that I think is used for every industry. I would say for accounting, if you ever want to be an accountant, I think the one thing I didn't know at the time is to focus on finance classes. I probably skipped out on the harder finance classes because it wasn't an area that really I was in tune with and liked. I focused more on the internal audit. I really enjoyed that process and those schooling, but I certainly think, yeah, whatever degree you get, I think if it can be, a wide variety. It can be a wide variety, and it doesn't necessarily say this is what you have to do because you have this degree. I think a lot of times it just says a lot that you went out and got a degree, and showed that you're interested in pursuing a career with a degree behind it.
I was just going to say, so my degree was in communications and PR, and I was one of those students you hear about that changed their major a lot, frustrated the heck out of my parents, but I had no idea what I wanted to do when I was 18. I didn't know what I wanted to do when I was 20, but I had to graduate college is what I wanted. That was my goal. And so I've always had these interpersonal skills. I love talking to people and finding solutions for them. That's something, creating positive experiences for people. And my parents sat me down and they're like, we got to figure out a major for you and what you're going to do. And communications for me was very, it's a broad major, but I was definitely able to specify it to public relations, which is what, there's some marketing in there. And then there's PR is about, spinning something right so it is positive in a way. And I think my major, as broad as it is, definitely helped me hone some skills for what I do now as a customer service representative, but also in the community and doing some of the community relations stuff that I do on behalf of the bank. So I think if you know you want to be a lawyer, you get that law degree. If you know you want to be an accountant, definitely take those classes. If you're not sure, there's other majors in college that are just as important, that can help you polish up and sharpen, a skill set of yours that can kind of lead you in that direction. I did not envision I was going to be a banker for a long time, but I've grown into it and professionally grown as well. And it's just, I have found it very rewarding. So you'll be surprised what it can do. Yeah, I'll mute.
Yeah, I too was, are you getting feedback there?
I muted me. Try it again.
Okay. Yeah, same thing with me. I didn't know what I wanted to do and early on in college, coming out of high school, and I knew I wanted to do probably something in business. Can you guys hear me okay? Yes, no? I'm getting weird feedback here, sorry. Yes, I knew I wanted to do something in business. It's so broad, and once you get into a business school, you start taking classes on intro to accounting, intro to finance, intro to marketing. So you get kind of a wide range of things to see there. And, graduating with business management and marketing, I still didn't think I was going to necessarily go into banking, but it just kind of happened that way. But I had that business background. And if you know you want to do something in business, once you get into it, you might start to figure that out.
If the students had interest in like job shadow type situation or further career exploration, is there any advice or anything that you might know that like Clinton National Bank has participated in or would be willing, or even have someone come in for a few hours sometime? Would there be experiences like that available for them?
I would definitely say yes. If you know someone like at your own bank or Clinton National if you want, but you could, I'm getting feedback too. That's really odd. Okay. I don't think it ever hurts to ask when you're in college, if you want a part-time job. Banking is a really good one because you're not working those late hours. It offers time to get some hours and make a little bit of money, and then also get your homework done too, because that's important. But and then even if you're a summer float, for example, we hire part-time tellers to help out over the holidays when you're home from school or over the summer. Banks need full or part-time help often, like with tellering. And then once you're in there and they get to know you, I don't think personally it hurts to just ask, hey, I'm interested in HR. Could I spend a little bit of time with the HR professional. When I had graduated college and was working full-time at a credit union in Champaign, I specifically reached out and said, hey, my degree's in PR. I'm interested in learning more about how a marketing department runs. Can I help? And so I started helping out, and then they gave me more responsibilities, and I ended up marketing an entire credit card program. So I think you definitely, I don't think it ever hurts to just reach out and ask and express your interest.
Wonderful. Any last questions before we end our session this morning? Any final comments from anyone?
I would just like to say that I think, well, like Ann talked a lot about just networking and being able to talk to a lot of people, and that involves that community involvement as well. Just getting out there and knowing people is going to be huge for you guys, because it's not, some of these jobs aren't just going to come land on your lap. You're going to have to go out and seek them out and find, you know, the individuals that are working that particular job, and really make those connections and you know, talk to those individuals. But I think that's an important thing. And really, if you're interested in banking, talk to somebody that's involved with banking, you know, maybe, you know, in your hometown or whatever the case may be. But I think those are going to be the people that are going to give you the most or the best perspective of that job, is just talking to them about, you know, the ins and outs of what they like about it, what they don't like about it, what's, you know, an average day like. So really pick their brain and just, you know, figure out what you want to do. But I think, you know, the two things taken out of this is definitely community involvement, you know, and just talking to those people that you know are going to be in that same career that you're interested in. So that's my 2 cents.
Awesome. Well, students, we thank you for joining us this morning. And Clinton National Bank, thank you so much for always being a great partner with us. And we were so happy to have you here this morning. Thank you for the super fun video. And if any of you would like any follow-up, we're sure happy to share their information with you. So don't hesitate to reach out to us. Have a wonderful rest of your morning. Thanks so much, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.